All right, so you're planning to retire at the end of the school year in 2021. What are some things you need to know and do before your retirement date comes around? In this video, I'm going to give you the 7 things that you need to do between now and then. So the absolute first thing you need to do if you're going to retire this year is get yourself a written financial plan. Most people don't know what that is. Basically, it's a document that outlines all of your income expenses from now until the day you pass away. That way you know exactly what your future holds, and if there are any things that you maybe want to be aware of, or to avoid things in the future. So a written retirement plan will show you things like what happens if someone passed away early, what happens if someone needs long-term care, what are the long-term tax effects of my current situation. So it looks over your whole situation for all these different things you want to make sure you're prepared for in the future. The most important thing it does though is just gives you clarity and peace of mind. It's one thing to sit there and think, this is how my pension works, this is how my Social Security works, this is how this works, and you kind of have these fragments, but to see it on one clean sheet of paper, how everything flows together and looks overall, can really relieve a lot of people's stress when dealing with retirement. And many people, once they see this report, actually wish they retired years earlier. So this is a very important thing to do, because the last thing you want to do is fill out your paperwork and retire, and then be hit with a surprise and realize that your income quite isn't what you thought it would be, or expenses are higher than you thought they were going to be. So something very important that you need to do. If you need a written report, that's something we do here every day at Scenic. All you have to do is book an appointment in my calendar and we can help you out there. Second thing you want to do is before the end of February, so this month right here, you want to make sure that you tell the school district that you're planning on separating. So after you got a financial plan, if everything looks good, go ahead and tell the school district you're not planning on returning for the following school year. Many times, they will often give you an incentive or a bonus for letting you know early. Now, the amount of the bonus will depend on the school district you're in, but I've heard it range all the way up to $1,500 just for letting them know early. That way they can put the notice out so they can hire someone to replace you. Step 3 is you want to go ahead and notify the state that you plan on retiring so they can give you a retirement benefit estimate. So this estimate will be a printout, usually comes in the mail. Maybe you might be able to get to that website now, but basically it's going to tell you this is your estimated payment on option 1, and they'll give you option 2, 3, and 4, which are the survivorship options if you do have a spouse. So you can see kind of what all your options are. And remember that if you do take one of the survivorship options, you are locked into that benefit. However, if your spouse were to predecease you, you automatically step up into option 1 again, or the max payout. Now, the second part here is you actually want to go ahead and verify that what they're telling you is true. In other words, you want to do your own math. Go back and look at your top 5 years, apply it to the formula, and just make sure the numbers add up. You'd be surprised how many times the state might mess something up because some income doesn't get reported. Maybe you did some work in a different district, or you did some coaching, and for whatever reason it didn't report to the state. If they don't know about it, they won't calculate it, and that's going to affect you in your retirement pension plan. And this is exactly what happened to a custodian I worked with a few years ago here in Yakima. We actually worked it out where I calculated his pension benefit. He went to apply, he got his statement back, and he was about a couple $100 short per month. And he's wondering what the heck happened. After we got on the phone with the state, it found out that this custodian actually worked as a coach in a different school district, and they're missing all of that income. And once they put the income back in, boom, he got his extra $300 a month. Now he's making, thousands more per year that he would have missed out on if we didn't catch this error. So it's just something you guys need to make sure you look into before accepting what they told you is correct. Now, step number 4 is once you get that estimate back, go ahead and actually apply for the retirement. So by applying for the retirement, you have to fill out a retirement application. It can be done on paper or it can be done through the DRS website. Keep in mind, if you are going to do it on paper, they do send it by pigeon, and it's going to take 2 to 3 months to get. So typically you want to request this thing in February or March, and you might get it in April or May. So it's just something that's always been kind of slow with the state. Filling out the application through the website is something they've really been pushing, and I think it's a little bit quicker that way. So if you can do it online, I'd recommend doing it that way. The process is still the same. You fill out all the information. Some key things you want to know on the retirement application is they will ask you which payment option you want to check option 1, 2, or 3, or 4 that coordinates with the statement they gave you. And then they're going to ask you for 2 dates. What is your date of separation? What is your date of retirement? And they are different. And the dates you select can affect your retirement and your healthcare. So let me explain here. Typically for most people, they want to go ahead and use June 30th as their date of separation and July 1st as their date of retirement. Now, why is this? Because you have to be separated from service or from your district before you can collect your retirement benefits. So those dates have to be separate. Now, why June 30th and July 1st? June 30th is just something most people use because school is definitely over by then. You can use pretty much any day you want to, but you want to make sure it is definitely after the last day of school. So the reason you want to use July 1st as your retirement date is because if you pick a date later than that, you're going to have to wait 2 full years before you get your first cost of living adjustment. The reason being is the state pays out the cost of living adjustments on July 1st every single year after you've been retired for 1 full year. So in other words, you retire, wait a year, and then you'll get your cost of living adjustment. If your retirement date was past or after July 1st, you gotta wait 2 years for that. Now, one important thing to know here is that under the new SEBB healthcare plan with the state, as soon as you separate service or elect retirement benefits, your SEBB coverage stops. So if you put July 1st as your retirement date, you're no longer covered for healthcare after that point. So that's something to keep in mind. But what that does is also enables you to start collecting your pension benefits in July and August while still collecting your normal salary. So that's something important to consider. So if you are going to use the July 1st as your retirement date to start your pension early, you are going to lose your healthcare benefits. So just know that ahead of time. Now, the other thing you could do is you could actually elect to retire on September 1st. So after your normal contract would end. That way you would be able to keep your SEBB covered healthcare through July and August. You'd also earn service credits for July and August as well. So your pension payment would be a little bit higher, even though you did miss out on collecting it earlier. So those are just 2 different dates to know. You can either retire on July 1st, start getting your pension early but lose your healthcare earlier, or you can elect to retire in September. You get 2 extra months of service credits and you got to keep your healthcare for 2 more months, but you miss out on that extra 2 months of pension payments. So something to consider and weigh before you elect what day to choose. And just know that just because I said you lose coverage under the SEBB plan, if you elect early, all you have to do is switch and start your PEBB retirement benefits after that. And that's really point number 5 here, is you want to get your health care in line. So many people on their retirement will leave the SEBB system and be in the PEBB system. So PEBB is just the Public Employees Retirement Board. It's basically healthcare benefits for public employees only. The rates are pretty reasonable. So anyone that retires from the school districts are able to get onto this plan. So if you retire July 1st, you can jump right on to PEBB if you're eligible. And if you want to wait till September, you jump on for the September PEBB. So when it comes to PEBB, there's actually 2 different parts of the plan as far as coverages go. So they have plans for people that are pre-Medicare age. So if you're not 65 yet, you have your own different plan options and costs. And those costs are going to be higher than those people already on Medicare because they have to cover a lot more. So if you're going to retire before 65, you'll be have to pay those costs. But once you cross and are on Medicare, then you would use PEBB as a supplemental or second to pay, and the costs are a lot cheaper. You still can go ahead and choose which plan you're on, so you can kind of manage the costs. Many people typically use Regence Blue Shield on the plan, and I've heard nothing but good things about them. I've had people do knee replacements, hip replacements, all kinds of different surgeries, and they don't pay anything at all for it. So it's a very good plan, though you do end up paying for it, and it can be a little bit more expensive than plans you might be able to find elsewhere. Something to keep in mind and look into what's more important really. Is it the total cost of things, or is it coverage and what's going to cost you out of pocket? So do your research before electing a healthcare option. Step number 6 has to do with your Social Security benefits. So when you want to elect your Social Security benefits, that's completely up to you. You can collect it as early as 62, or you can delay it all the way out to age 70. The choice is yours. The earlier you collect it, the less you're going to get. The longer you wait, you'll get less payments, but they'll be higher. So typically break even is somewhere in the early 80s, just something to keep in mind. And if you have a spouse, there are some other strategies you might want to incorporate, but it's something you need to talk to a financial professional about. They can work with you and see what the best collecting strategies are to maximize your Social Security income. Now, when it comes to Social Security, you want to make sure you fill out the application about 3 months in advance, just to give them enough time to process it and allow for any errors before then. So most times, if you're going to retire in July, I say wait till January 1st to start your Social Security payments, just so your income starts over from 0. Because when you do with Social Security, they do have income limitations or thresholds. And when you cross that, your benefits get reduced. Now, typically speaking, if you retire and you let the Social Security office know from that point forward, they'll look at your income. As long as you're not making more than a certain amount of physically earned working income, then it won't affect you. But occasionally, sometimes they mess this up. I've had some clients in the past who filed their Social Security benefits shortly after they retired, and they actually got a letter from the IRS that they had made too much money and they got a reduced benefit, and it took them a little bit to clear that all up. So you want to kind of avoid the headaches. It's easiest just to wait to January, and if you need more income, you can take it off of any retirement savings that you have. And with that, on that note, that leads us into step 7, and that is figuring out what to do with your retirement funds. Now, if you did step 1 properly, you should know exactly what you're going to do with your money and how it's all going to work for you in the future. So when you're going into retirement, many people have retirement savings, especially on plan 3, you have that pot of money. And many people ask me, what do I do with my plan 3 money? I mean, it's really like a bank account. You can pretty much do what you want with it. It's your money. Spend it how you see fit. Just keep in mind that it should last you your full retirement, so you should not spend it all in one place. And 2, it's all pre-tax. You still have to pay taxes on this money in the future. So whether you choose to leave it with the state, you can. If you want to go ahead and buy some annuity with it to get more guaranteed income, you can do that with it. If you want to move into an IRA to continue to grow it, you can do that too. The choice is really yours. But what I do stress is make sure you go ahead and look at this thing and make sure whatever move you do with it is the right move for you. So get a financial plan, see all of your options, and see if it is necessary for you to get an annuity, or if leaving with the state would give you a better rate of return than moving it elsewhere. All right, so that's pretty much all the steps that you're going to want to take this year if you're planning on retiring. Now, one other thing I really didn't touch on was taxes. This is becoming kind of a hot button issue lately. So remember that if you're on plan 3, all the money there does have to be taxed at some point in the future. Now, if you wait and don't really touch this money because you don't need it for a reason, you do have to start touching this money in the future. Currently, it's age 72 when the required minimum distributions begin. In other words, the IRS forces you to take your money just so they can tax you on it. And you're going to have to pay taxes based on your income and whatever tax rates are in the future. So typically speaking, for many people in today's current low tax rates, is to be proactive with it, meet with an advisor or an accountant, and learn different strategies to reduce your total tax bill in your retirement. Now, if you want some help with this entire process to make sure you do everything correctly and nothing gets screwed up in the process and you're making the right move, all you have to do is go down below, click on my Calendly meeting link, and book in a time to speak with us, and we're happy to walk you through it all. All right, so I hope this video was helpful for everybody. Leave me any questions in the comments below, and I'd be happy to address them. And remember that your future depends on what you do today.